Um, Great. It has been an interesting Christmas break for us. Glad to be back. I said last year that I might do a little thingamajig and like throughout the break. I did not. Um, it has been very good for me. I can tell you this. My wife thanks you all for not having me around last like 2 weeks ago. And I am thankful for having all of you back here on the live stream, and of course Daniel with me here in the office, which to address
all new.
to address the elephant in the room is new. Nothing you see is new. Those were in the office before, and that thingamajig was back in the old office in the background, of course, as well. Our logo. But we're in a new office. This was not 100% planned, but the old one has been pretty chilly, and Austria has been pretty chilly as well. And so we switched offices, semi-permanent. We're not sure how long we're going to stay here, so the background might change.
Temporarily, which in Austria often turns out to be permanent. That's kind of what we say in Austria.
Yeah, no, but like in that regard, I think it's good here. We like it. The internet has been good. It has been an easy solution for us to move to.
We're a bit nearer to Vienna.
Yeah,
and we're in an industrial area, so
industrial sounds can be. It's not heavy industry.
Not heavy industry, but still industry. Before we were kind of more like in a more city center, smaller town.
Yeah.
Not tiny, but smaller town situation. And of course, being closer to Vienna and being in kind of an industry-like area means that our internet is quite a lot better, which is nice.
Yeah, but the internet in the office is fast and stable and everything. That's true. Yeah. Of course, Baden had some nice things about it as well. We had musicians in front of the window. I think you never heard them in the live stream. But
to some people's dismay, of course, but
no, it has been distracting. And
it was weird and fun at times,
Yeah, it was a pedestrian area in front, so there were less cars, more people noises for cafes and stuff, and this is way less now, way less. But yeah, interesting. So if you are ever in the Austria area, you can write us. We actually had people visiting, so we already made this happen a couple of times now. Always fun to see people who use Portmaster, who subscribe to the SPN, definitely. Who support us directly. Has been fun. But it has been very stressful, of course, having a move. Like even though it is now a little bit warmer here in Central Europe, moving during winter, never a cool idea. Usually, like you have to like count on it snowing or raining. Yeah.
But that didn't happen, actually.
It did not, but it was stressful. It was
stressful. Yeah. Now we're settled, so it's really nice to be able to get back and focus on the tasks at hand.
Yeah. So, big sorry there as well. I know a couple of people have written our support throughout the last weeks, and we have been a little bit slow to respond. So sorry for that. We do our best to go through the backlog and to go through that. I think still Discord is the easiest way to get a quick answer. Not even though Daniel sort of restricts himself mostly to the rooms reserved for people who are in supporter and unlimited tier. So if you want to catch Daniel, probably subscribe to supporter. But I hang around and I write and answer questions as I have time. Sometimes that's on the go, of course, as well, since I have Discord on my phone. Very healthy work-life balance around here.
Well,
no, I enjoy it. And I think we never talked about this. And maybe to set the tone. Today's I have not looked at any questions. I like 20 minutes before like 3 o'clock now, I told Daniel we have a live stream coming up and I want to keep it. So it's very casual today. But from going one to the next, I'd like to sort of like tell people.
Well, we have a plan still for the live stream today. We're not planless.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we might be wrong, but we're not confused.
Yeah, that's something that you learned lately.
I did. Yeah. Outing myself, what I'm listening to, I guess. No, but in that regard, what I wanted to share was, since like safing, I don't have an alarm clock in the morning. I'm a morning person, so I wake up fairly easily anyway. And since safing, I just wake up. I enjoy my work. It's great. I love developing and providing. Like, I'm not like he's the developer, but like bringing the service.
Developing ideas.
Yeah, exactly. And like planning this, thinking about privacy, thinking about what people need, how to improve individual privacy and stuff, building out the roadmap. What can we do? How do we have the biggest impact with the resources that we've got and stuff like that? I love it. It's great. And I am very thankful for all the great appreciative emails and stuff we get from you guys. This is why we are doing this, to do a service to you all and to like humanity, push the needle forward, make privacy easier and better and the default, hopefully. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share there. You teased it. We have an idea of what we're gonna talk about today. You wanna go into it a little bit? What's up with upcoming? Or do you want to share something else?
Talk about like the upcoming year and what the focus will be and where we'll be heading in regards to everything. I think the kind of the most important thing is probably where is Portmaster going?
I thought you wanted to, because you said earlier about the SPN, and I thought you wanted to
I'll
start
do it
there.
At the end.
Okay, yeah. No, let's do that. Yeah, where's Portmaster going? So last week's, like if you take a little step back and get the bigger picture, what I wanted to go with, and what I think had a great response within the team already so far, was that we continue helping people through the Portmaster journey. I want to.
What's the Portmaster journey?
Yeah, I want to start maybe a bit earlier. Yeah. Maybe to tell people what the theme for the last year was. Basically, last year, and I think you put this very well, was it Martin? Two things were the main thing. Getting Portmaster to work out of the box on all the devices. I think by default, Portmaster works very well. It usually starts breaking if people have weird systems, like try to run Portmaster next to another firewall application or next to
another DNS application.
Another
VPN.
Exactly. So typically if you have a fresh install of Windows and you install Portmaster or Linux, and if the distro is not too out there, of course, typically it works, and it works great out of the box. So this was achieved. And the other goal is working out of the box, and the other goal was to get it to be correct. We had for a long time the issue of saying if it is encrypted or not. And I think we meant in the past TLS encryption, or there was some confusion. Is this SPN encryption? Is this TLS encryption? Mm-hmm. What sort of encryption is it? And it never showed something that is not true, but it was confusing, and some stuff actually was a little bit almost misleading, confusing to the point where you would have thought something wrong. And last year was a big cleanup year where we wanted to clean out all of those miscommunications and clean up the communication. But for what we found out by the end of the year is now that confusion from what we're saying is out of the way, there are still gaps. Mm-hmm. If you install Portmaster because you want to sort of get into privacy, then Portmaster shows you a lot of stuff and you don't know everything. Like we if you expand something, it tells you information and we don't guide you what this information means.
It's also sometimes unclear what exactly a view is showing. Like, what does it mean? Like, why it doesn't like auto refresh, like, and stuff like that. So there's like some decisions we had to make for particular reasons that either we might need to explain or just explain how things are. So
Yeah.
kind of guide the user through the application a better and help that users understand it better and understand what they're seeing and what they can do.
Yeah.
Give clearer options, and that kind of the technical side is there for empowering users, but especially with people that aren't technically adept, and that's exactly what people that we want, that they also can experience privacy. That's the whole core of Safing.
Yeah.
Bringing privacy to everyone, not just the techies. The techies, they can probably figure out like how to strap their 5 things together somehow and make it work. I can if I want to, but I just don't like strapping things together. I like a clean solution, and that's why we set out with what we do with Safing, because we want it ourselves, but also we see so many people that would like to have privacy but are denied that option because they lack a skill set. And that's exactly the direction we're now moving more and more into, getting these people on board and have them be able to use the Portmaster confidently. There is value just installing it and leaving it there. It does a lot, but it can be so much more if users understand what they see and can make knowledgeable decisions. And that's kind of where we're moving into.
And this is maybe to add to this. I think you touched on a couple of things which is very important. Maybe to address the last point first. Why isn't Portmaster the most secure thing out of the box? Because it needs to run on all devices, and not every setting is the correct one for everybody. And so we have the lowest common denominator, and with maybe one exception, like the blocking incoming connections, which is a little bit controversial and can cause issues for some people. But we decided to enable it anyway.
Yeah, but because it can be really dangerous. It
that's
can
true.
really be an issue.
Yeah.
So that's a really tough one that I think about it like every couple of weeks again. Like, how can we improve that?
And we made it easier this year. We made it easier. We switched it from something that's implicitly active all the time to something that's like explicitly with the force block now enabled by default.
A lot easier to disable for applications that you need it for. So we've improved on that in that regard, and we need to improve more. And that's one of the things we're working on this year.
Also something where I would say, like, this is sort of like showed, well, there has been this miscommunication. People did not understand that we are blocking all like incoming connections by default, while like now we show it, but they don't understand how to use it. So there's this gap in this journey, as I said. And the other thing I wanted to say is techies is a very big spectrum. I think, especially nowadays, there are people who are like very much into like operating systems, and they can tweak so much things in operating systems. There are people who are techies in regards to hardware, and there are techies, of course, on the network level. Not every techie, even if the techie knows programming stuff, does know network things as well. And of course, the Portmaster as a network tool is very much in a very niche situation, even for techies, I'd say. And so maybe you have the lingo, maybe you get into it faster. But yeah, we need to improve there, and we know this. And this year will be the time. So if you want to share it, how are some of the options we think of going about it?
So starting with the obvious one, of course, is to add more context to the user interface in Portmaster. We already have these little icons that we have to like go over, rework, make a lot of more of them. We can also kind of link them together. So if you're like on one, you can click on next and it will move to the next one. That allows us kind of to create kind of like small guided tours through a page or through a feature or something like that. So that are things that we want to use a lot more and emphasize a lot more, and make people aware that these exist. We don't know how much they're used because we don't have any tracking or stuff like that in the Portmaster. It's really all we know is if you write us and tell us that shit and that's cool, that's how our feedback loop works. So if you're using Portmaster, please write us what you find cool with that shit. That's how we make the decisions, and that's how you can shape the software. So please, please, please do that. That's the only way we know.
Yep.
And so what we're doing here is kind of from our own experience and from whatever we get, and conclude that what is the issue with our kind of maturing software. So so that's kind of one of the things we're going into. Maybe we'll also place some texts directly into the UI if they're very important, so that people just read them all the time and often, and we reread them. Or like do some like hint things. Like a couple websites have that. This also software like this. Did you know? Like somewhere in the UI, there's like a did you know thing, and it kind of has a rotating message.
There is something like that in Portmaster. And Network Monitor, I think at the very bottom.
Yes, that's true. We have this pro tip thing. So the Network Monitor at the very bottom, like it sometimes tells you about different shortcuts you can use.
Yeah.
That's
just if you already found that we are talking about something different.
Yeah. So that's really for pros. That's more hidden. But the kind of did you know was more like kind of a way where we can also kind of continually educate users, because if you've clicked the I once and read that, you'll never click it again because you kind of like, I already know what this says, I won't read it again. But in the did you know section that's always visible, we can tell
about updates,
about important things. Like also like there are core concepts that are important to understand, and it's very helpful if you like read them over and over again, so you know, oh, that's how it works. So
like for instance the order, like the order is very important in Portmaster, like that. I read that people were confused that app settings are stronger than global settings, and I'm like, of course this needs to be like this, because otherwise you can't say, well, I want to block this everywhere, but there I want to make an exception. Of course it needs to be like this. Other way around would not make sense. At least in my regard. Like, I have to block it everywhere except for that one thing. This does not like sound great. Yeah.
So we're working a lot on kind of.
And that settings go from top to bottom. Maybe this is interesting for you as well if you did not know. Like the settings are actually hierarchical, like from top to bottom. This is the reason why if you want to, for instance, in the SPN, block every country except for one, the exception needs to be allowed on top, and then the block needs to be below it.
Within the rules, of course, but also
the
settings themselves are ordered in the way that they're applied.
I think we never say this in Portmaster
itself. Because for most things it isn't important.
Oh well.
And the really important one all start with force, which implies force.
Exactly, implies, and this is the sort of the journey situation I'm talking about, where I'm like, we need to.
That would be one of the did you know things, that settings starting with force, with the word force, are stronger than any others. Captain Obvious. But that's the point. It's really obvious for us. We built it. We went for upgrading, but it's not obvious for others, and that's why we want to tell you.
Also, suggestions, as you were saying earlier. I think this call to action we have sort of like waned throughout the time, and after we called it like done and said we won, it's sort of like, well, this is the best we can do. And if you read the blog post, no, we know so much more we want to do, but this is a first step, like milestone. V1 was a very big milestone for us. It sort of like showed our confidence. We are featured like a set of features which is so complete. Of course, we have so many ideas for new features and stuff, but it works. It harmonizes well, and it works well, and this is the reason why we went for V1.
So that kind of things that we're thinking about in the Portmaster UI. Something that we're also thinking about is kind of having a getting started guide for people to read before they install, kind of to give them a kind of a vista into the journey, what the journey will look like. Yep. So that's kind of the basic storyline on that. That will cover all the basic concepts, but of course, as we found out, not all people use just vanilla Windows. A lot of people that use Portmaster already use other software that protects various aspects of their online life, and sometimes there are problems, and they want to know if there's a way how they can combine software, if they should use it together or not. So there's so many questions about how what Portmaster does, how it interacts with other software, what we recommend, what others recommend, like what is the best way to get privacy. And we want to answer these questions, and we've struggled with a good way how to do that, but Raphael came up with a great idea, and he wants to tell you all about it.
Okay.
That was quite a scene, huh?
It was.
I set the stage now.
No, I over the break I was like researching a lot of stuff, and I found myself browsing through wikis a lot, and I think Portmaster is big and complex enough to get its own community wiki. It will be hosted by Sifting. We will be running it. We probably will figure something out on marking pages which are verified by us that the information is true. But we saw already like a lot of people writing like user guides and telling people to enable stuff we sort of wanted to bury for the longest time now. No, on Discord today somebody wrote about the threat model feature.
Yeah, don't touch.
Exactly. And I told on Discord, this feature is deprecated. It will survive, and we will not have a migration for it. It will survive to the point when it will be superseded to another feature,
to a superior feature,
yeah. And there will not be a migration for it. Don't expect any work you put into this to continue forward. But yeah, so a community wiki, where we of course will give a bunch load of our documentation in there, but we will want to make it open so that people can contribute as well. If you have a cool guide idea, if you figured out how to make Portmaster work together with your favorite VPN software, tell others about it. We heard, especially for Mullvad, multiple times that it works, and so often we heard that it doesn't, and
we don't really know why.
We
it works sometimes. Like other tests we did, we actually, like Mullvad actually provided us with a test account, I think 2 times.
Really?
Yeah. They were like, super cool, yeah, here's a 7-day code, something like that. And
really?
I fired it up, worked perfectly.
Okay.
I think I had to do one setting in Mullvad, that was it.
Okay.
And that's the documented version we have. And like still people are like, no working, yes working, sometimes working, like, okay. I don't know.
But of course, like if there is an article like online already for software that people want to work with Portmaster, this shows us who we want to maybe reach out to, who we want to sort of like and tell them, see, our community wants us to work together. For instance, Signal reached out to us once. Apparently, one of the Signal APIs on the desktop application was blocked by Portmaster, and
because it kind of one of the domains found their way onto some filter list that we import, and then that was blocked by Portmaster, and then they claimed as we unblocked that domain, and
it works fine now.
Yeah.
But of course, like people who use Portmaster, and if you don't use Signal yet, I think you should. Like,
maybe it was a bit at Signal between Portmaster.
Yeah, have I told?
Who knows?
Did I tell this on this on this live?
I think
you did, but I mentioned it here again.
Just
people in at NordVPN use Portmaster. It's when I heard this, like I was like amazed. Like it was on the Firewalls Don't Stop Dragons podcast. One of their executives or like somebody in management was guest there, and Kerry asked him. And he told him, he uses Portmaster. I'm like, whoa, very, very interesting. Not sure what the implications are.
Yeah, apparently works. Apparently, Portmaster works well with NordVPN.
It does.
But I guess so. I really hope that the executive is using their own product. If not, I'm not so sure about NordVPN's future.
Okay, well then, interesting. I'll maybe to add to this, just quickly a side note there. My thoughts about VPNs. I think I shared a lot of them on the podcast with Kerry. Firewalls Don't Stop Dragons. Shout out here as well.
We can drop that in the description.
We can, if I find the link. Yes, he has a YouTube thing as well. You can listen to it there. It's not a video show, even though it is a video call. I can tell you this. Kerry, great guy, loves privacy and Apple for some reason. And
I know someone else.
I know, and it's very interesting. So if you're into it, I think Kerry is a great source. Also writes a great book where he recommends Portmaster, and I was allowed to like read it in advance and write a blurb for it. So my thoughts are in there as well now.
Okay.
It is cool. Oh, great guy. So. Enough talking about VPNs. What about the SPN for the upcoming year?
So the SPN is something that the main focus will be to stabilize and kind of make it just as blazing fast, smooth, and awesome as we can. That doesn't mean we're gonna add loads of bells and whistles. It probably means that we want just the basics just to work every single time, all the time, without any interruption. We want to be like reliable more than any VPN you've ever used. I don't think it's that hard, but especially because like how our system works, it's just from the get-go so much more able to cope with failures, but we still experience some issues here and there because it is
under active development.
It is a new software, and distributed software is maybe more complex if you have a lot of servers interacting with each other to make something happen. So we've pushed a big update in December, where now you should have speeds up to like easily a couple hundred megabits per second, if of course your internet uplink allows that, and if the servers are free enough, which should be the case.
That is true. But to that regard, some VPN providers claim they make your internet faster. This is not the case and is not possible. What your speeds are the speeds that you have, and we cannot improve this. But yeah, just wanted to get that out there.
What can be made fast? Speeds are always like an interesting thing because in 99% of cases, people talk about bandwidth. How many bytes can they get over the connection in a time period? But there's a second factor in speed, which is latency, which is how fast can a packet get from A to B. And they're not always connected. So especially over satellite, if you're using the SpaceX's, what's it called? Starlink, yeah. You will have great bandwidth, but your latency will be not good because obviously you're going via a satellite. And light still only travels at light speed. And if you're like the first uplink isn't laser anyway, so that's just electromagnetic waves. They're a lot slower than that. So you have latency, but you can still have high bandwidth. But latency is something that is very different and reacts differently. And that's also something where the SPN is optimized for and can have very good latency. So and sometimes connections can be built faster over the SPN than without it. In some conditions.
Some conditions.
I will not go into that because
thank you.
We're gonna make the claim when we have like proper tests.
Exactly. Talking about tests.
What tests?
You wanna, because we are getting so many emails at the moment about leak tests. You wanna address this? Just, I know we're thrown in there. We're at the halfway point to an hour. But for those people watching right now and later on,
I will continue we'll finish the SPN thing.
And then you will address this.
And then I will talk about DNS leak tests.
Spoiler.
Yeah. So SPN, so stabilizing. There's a couple issues right now that we're looking into, where things have there's some weird condition that I'm investigating.
Weird condition.
Yeah. So and kind of stabilizing, making sure that everything we claim right now just works flawlessly all the time. And if we've achieved that, we'll start adding new features. So that's kind of more or less what the plan for the SPN is. One more thing about the SPN, we are continually upgrading our network, checking where can we add servers. Some providers sometimes don't turn out as well. So if you know a nice provider, tell us, especially if it's niche, kind of if in your country you think it's a really good provider that we won't find on any list that fast, especially then please tell us. And also if you want service in a specific location, like if you're in a country where we don't have any server yet, tell us. We want to broaden and grow network.
That's true.
So, and also we are working on ways to kind of get anonymized data from the servers to know kind of how to grow the network. But that's not that easy, and we don't have that yet. So we only have kind of the normal service statistics.
And this is important. It's about statistics of the server health. Anonymized data does not mean there is no user data tracking at all. I want to reiterate this here as well. When you're talking about server data, we're talking about data about the server itself.
Yeah.
It's RAM usage, it's CPU usage, it's network speed as well.
Yeah,
it's health data. It's health data.
Bandwidth.
It's health data about the server, which we need, which we currently would have to check on each server individually to see is the server performing well.
Yeah, and we need to know if servers are kind of having problems and issues. We need to repair them. Stuff like that.
Which we have seen, especially now with some servers under heavy load. Some of you have reached out and told us, well, the SPN had some issues and I needed to restart it. And typically what then happens is you're getting a different home node. and this one might be under less load as well and stuff like this. And so now with the SPN actually then knowing how the not just bandwidth load is to a theoretical degree, but also how the server itself, the health of the server is, we can balance this much better. Because some servers are like weaker from a performance standpoint than others, and we see this, but only by proxy for now. And I think
also what the servers do is they measure bandwidth between themselves. And that data is broadcasted to all the clients, so they know, okay, how do the connections look like, and what is the best way to get somewhere.
Yeah. And this gets better over time, doesn't it?
It depends.
No, I think you said this as well. Like if Portmaster runs for a couple of minutes or hours.
Well, the server network kind of optimizes itself all the time.
That of course as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of like they always optimize their connections they can offer, and all that data, of course, that these metrics we collect and store over time. So we see, okay, how does the performance of a server change? Like how much bandwidth was it able to achieve to this other server? And we can see, okay, this server seems to be good quality, this server doesn't seem to be good quality. Or like we see dips in that, like during certain times, and we're like, okay, that server is only good on weekends and not weekdays. Good. Stuff like that. Yeah. So bottom line was, if you have recommendations for the servers, wishes, please tell us.
Recommendations, wishes, everything.
Yeah.
Let us know.
Okay. I think that concludes kind of SPN Vista. A bit unexciting, but actually very exciting to have a really stable product.
Yeah.
So you wanted to know something about DNS leak tests?
This is just a question that's coming up in the last couple of days. Yeah. We don't have to get into it today. We can talk about it in another episode as well. Maybe we'll have to address this as well, because we are not announcing it, and it's like we're fairly far into this talk, so not sure if we're gonna re-record it, but give it a go, please. I'd like to learn it.
So let's start with leak tests. Let's start at like kind of what a leak test is and what it was created for. Just like we look at VPNs and what they were created for. So leak tests were created by VPN companies mostly, because VPNs have the issue that they not necessarily change the DNS server. So you'd activate a VPN, and your DNS queries go through the VPN and back to your ISP, because that's the configured DNS server. And
on your router.
On your router. Like depends where it goes, but like what exactly the configuration is. But in many cases it would break. Because the ISP won't allow incoming packets to your router. So it may just be an DNS server at the ISP.
Exactly, no, but what I wanted to say is like you're getting your DNS server from your like device you're getting from your ISP. There's a reason why it's pre-configured. If you haven't changed it,
that's even the even worse case is when you connect to VPN. VPN is configured to route maybe just internet traffic, not local traffic. The DNS server is your local router, so the DNS queries will go bypass the VPN and continue to go to ISP as usual. And privacy you've gained, pretty much zero. And that's kind of an issue VPN companies have. And what most of them do is to host their own DNS server, and then have this VPN software or client config or whatever way you use to connect to your VPN to configure their DNS server as your primary DNS server. But, computers being complex, operating systems being weird, having different settings, doesn't always turn out the way it should. And sometimes these configurations do not succeed for whatever reason. And that's where DNS leak tests come in. They help you test if the DNS configuration of your own VPN works.
Typically, there are others as well.
There are other generic ones as well, which are even harder to like know what they even say. But the nice ones that just go show you red green are the ones from your own VPN provider.
Typically.
So what they just check is your VPN working correctly? That's
or is your VPN leaking? So why isn't this an issue with Portmaster then, or with like the ESPN?
So the difference between Portmaster and a VPN is that Portmaster is firewall. Portmaster is an absolute control and is actually your resolver itself. So it has absolute control over where things go and does not rely on what the OS configures or thinks is now what you want, but it is always in full control and always does the correct thing. So with the Portmaster, you by design do not have any leaks. So what happens if you use Portmaster together with a VPN is they'll be fighting over this DNS stuff. And normally the way it should resolve, or we aim to resolve things, is that we win. Which means that you will be using the DNS server configured in Portmaster, not the DNS server configured in your VPN. Which means that DNS leak test of your VPN will tell you you're leaking because you're not using their DNS server, because you're using DNS server configured in Portmaster, which does secure DNS for you. Everything is good. But the VPN leak test is just made to test one single thing. Are you using the VPN just as it is? That's what it does. So the Portmaster only uses the DNS configured in the secure DNS profile. It does use the DNS servers assigned by the system in special cases. So for example, for checking if it's online or not. Because if it's not online, it can use this other mechanism, and it will also allow other things like Microsoft, if you've allowed it, to ping their online domain, because like you have this chicken egg problem, like who thinks they're online when and will allow traffic. I think, what was that? I think it was a Mac story where it wouldn't even allow you to go online until the Mac itself has verified that you're online, or something like that. So there is like
sounds like Apple.
Yeah, operating systems are weird, and we've opted to go the safe route. If you don't want that, because there's a setting for it, you can disable assign and network DNS servers. You're good. So
yeah, the local one is also important, of course, if you're, for instance, in a school or company setting and you have local addresses, which are not on Cloudflare, of course, like, or on Quad 9.
This will make the LAN work correctly.
Yes, exactly.
So if you've configured like a domain name in your home router, stuff like that, so that will correctly split DNS here and will correctly also split connections. Like if they're for the LAN,
they won't go through the ESPN.
So and also there have been reported issues there, and I think I have one open issue to investigate with like captive portals, but captive portals should work with the ESPN enabled flawlessly. That's our goal. There might be some issue. I'm investigating that. But that's something that VPNs will just fail at consistently due to like how they work.
Well,
that's the cool thing about being both firewall and a network service. So,
of course, it's harder to do because you cannot just take some protocol other people developed and
like use
white label it.
Label it, just slap it on customers' computers. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So the Portmaster, of course, was a lot more
work R&D and stuff. Yeah.
Than kind of the simple VPN clients you have.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. A lot more work. Well then,
and we think it's worth it.
We do.
And we think you think that too.
And of course, you can give the Portmaster a try. Portmaster is free, and continue to be free because it's at no cost, except of course the heavy R&D cost. But like, there can be 1,000 people running the Portmaster. It can be 100,000, 100 million people. No extra cost to us. But of course, the ESPN costs us money. It's bandwidth.
And it's expensive.
And bandwidth is expensive.
Especially outside Europe and America.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But also for everybody who is subscribing to Portmaster Supporter or Unlimited, thank you. You are making this possible for everybody else, of course, as well. You are supporting this development. You're supporting this new technology and this new protocol and way of accessing the internet. Not just through one connection, but through multiple channels at once, which is very cool and has not been done anywhere else yet. So thank you a lot for supporting us.
Yeah, maybe a fun thing to add to the DNS leak test. We are thinking about, like, because there's so much confusion about these tests, we're thinking about
telling people,
compiling a list of domains that are used for the leak tests, and then either option 1, just notify people that, oh, you're running a DNS test, please read our blog post about like how they work and what they actually do and what they don't do, and kind of to make sure people like know what's going on and like
aren't scared.
Yeah.
And because it shows big red, oh, you're in danger. Exactly.
But everything's okay.
Everything is okay.
And the second thing is what I would like to do, but Rafael is still a bit hesitant to do. I would like to just like outright block DNS leak tests because people won't be seeing like the big flashy red, oh, you're in danger card, but there will be just some weird error message. And then we'll have the pop-up from Portmaster. We're like, hey, we've seen you run a DNS leak test. We're here to tell you all about it and why you're safe.
Linking to this video.
Yeah, well, or a wiki page.
A wiki page!
Or a blog post or something like that.
Good idea.
So if you have thoughts about this, tell us.
Yeah, tell us.
That would be really interesting what you would think about that as a user. Would you like that? Be told or be blocked and then told? Like, yeah, tell us. That's a fun topic. We've like had a chat like here and there. Yeah. So
fun.
Yeah, fun. I think it's fun. I like fun.
I like fun too. Not sure if that counts as fun. Well then, I wanted to do a wrap up earlier. Do you have something else to add?
You look at me like I should know, but
no, okay, I'm honestly asking. I'm like, otherwise to tell the people the do's and don'ts, and
yeah, like I think you already said thank you, but I want to encourage everyone who loves the Portmaster to like support the development, because that is what we live off. If you really like Portmaster, please, we created a supporter tier because people were asking how to donate. So that's the one you get. There is priority support included in that one. We're still working on how to surface that and make that better available. You can get a special flavor on Reddit and on Discord that will signify you as a supporter, which will help us to spend more time on your request. And we're working on other ways to prioritize that in our other systems as well. But that will still take a while. If you want priority support, then our support, just outright tell us I'm a supporter, and we'll know, okay, great. Support us. You don't have to, if you don't want to use SPN, go for supporter. If you like a trial SPN, just roll with it for a month. We accept all sorts of private payment methods.
That's true. That's true. No, what I wanted to add there as well is, I know that for the GEO unblocking thing in the picture, it shows services which are not fully functional, and I want to change that picture. It is going to change in the near future. Haven't found the time yet. Oh, it's not. We don't want to mislead in any way. It was just the first services that sprung to mind back when the design was happening. And because we changed so much, this slipped through, and we already replaced one of those logos right at the get-go, but I want to have changed everything, which was not yet done. The issue with some streaming services in particular is, of course, that they are actively working against it. And so if your use case is streaming stuff and not privacy, don't, like, the SPN is not built for this yet. This will be something we will focus on in the future, but at the moment our main focus is privacy and streaming not that much. Just so you know. I wanted to be transparent about this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there are gonna be like some basic improvements.
Yeah.
But in order to kind of, I'm gonna choose my words here.
Carefully.
In order to like give you seamless access to some of the services that actively block possible abuse.
Abuse is such a strong word.
Possible. That's possible.
Okay.
Possible, because they can't know for sure. It's just possible. Which I wanted to state that they're not
like access from a country.
They're actively blocking their own customers. It's not a nice thing to do.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. What's the point you wanted to make?
So working against like active protections is a lot of work.
Yeah.
And we want to we will make sure in the short to midterm that like services that don't deploy active protection work correctly, but services that employ active protection will require a lot more resources on our end, both in development but also ongoing cost for special servers and all that stuff, maintenance. So there's a lot more to that, and I think we'll get there in the future.
We are.
We are.
We're getting there in the future.
Okay, but not in the near future.
Yeah, not in the near future.
If that's your primary use case, the answer is not yet.
Not yet. So, wrap up stuff.
Not yet. You can still buy supported tier because PortPress is awesome.
Yeah.
And the more people we have in supported tier, and of course in the unlimited tier, the more people we can hire, the faster we can get all this stuff to you.
That is so true. Yeah. Well then, I'll wrap up. You can reach us. You already see the Twitter handles down here, but of course, Mastodon links, they're much longer.
Links are in the Twitter bios.
And in the description below, also from last show, so I made sure they're both in there. So you can reach us on Twitter, Mastodon, and of course Discord. Join our Discord. It's there are a lot of rooms available for everybody. As I said, there are some ones for supporter and unlimited tier, but basically, like, a lot of action is going on in the general things. I have been thinking of maybe switching this over there as well. Not sure though. I like our
Discord.
No, the live stream.
Yeah.
But
where?
To Discord, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I just like the YouTube thing. It works well, and I don't want to change the running system. I mean, I set this up today in under 10 minutes.
It's the most acceptable non-privacy respecting service.
We can't. We just
accepted non-privacy.
There is just no actual alternative. I mean, there hasn't been for Twitter, even though Mastodon was around for quite some time. but because of the volume of content, there has like Mastodon only recently became a valid alternative because now people are there, like, and it's not just
we still need a YouTube exodus to happen for any alternatives to,
which will be hard. We can talk about this in the future as well. If you want us to talk about other platforms, you can ask us in the comments. Maybe we'll talk about our thoughts and feelings about those in the future, not today. So reach us on Mastodon, reach us on Twitter, write us an email, chat with us on Discord. Try the SPN, write us your experiences. Thank you. Have a good one.